Well, howdy there. We're out on the remote studio today, down at the beach, about to go for a swim, fly the drone, just have a good afternoon. This is take 3 actually. We had some technical difficulties on take 2, and the reason there was even a take 2 is part of kind of what the whole episode today is about. So today's episode is all about pre-race nerves, anxiety, nerves, that sort of shaky feeling you get on the start line before a big event, because there's lots of big events coming up. Chicago's in just under 2 weeks, Melbourne Marathon's just under 2 weeks, New York Marathon, Valencia Marathon, the list sort of goes on for the rest of the year and then early in the next year. So I'm going to do my threshold. I've actually already done my threshold, and I put clips in on my threshold. I wanted to give you a tip after every effort, but I got the first effort done with the tip, and I'm going to expand on it a little bit now. And I'm going to put that in, and then it's going to cut to here, back to the run, back to here, back to the run, because the microphone dropped out halfway through, so you can't hear anything I'm saying. You can just hear Dad's heavy breathing while he tries to keep up on the bike. So I'll see you after you've watched tip 1. All right, rep 1, tip 1. Write it down. Write down whatever is stressing you out or whatever the problem is. But the trick is, for every problem that you write down or potential worry, or you got to write down a solution or a potential solution to it. So a good example would be me this week with stressing out about my hip and my back and all of that. The problem was the pain in my hip. So I wrote that down, and then the potential solution was, well, I could go see my physio. That's not a proper solution, but it's a more of an actionable step than just sitting there worrying about my hip. So write it down, but every problem needs a solution or a potential solution. That helps. That's a really good one for the day before the race too, for anything you're worried about on the race. Can force you to think about what you can do in the race or what you've done in your preparation that can fix the problem. So rep 1, 15 seconds till we go. Try and average around 4 minutes, just under 4 minutes. 3, 2, 1. All right, rep 2, tip 2. Got 30 seconds. You need to have or it's good to have a mantra or a saying, just saying that you can repeat to yourself when things start to get hard. But the trick is, you have to fully believe what you're telling yourself. So for me in Sydney, I decided no limits. No limits on what you can do today. So on the start line, when it was getting a bit overwhelming, no limits. Just kept repeating that in my head. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. But it's better if you can say it out loud. And then when things start to get tough, or when things started to get tough for me in the race, just on a loop in my head. No limits. No limits, no limits, no limits. If you tell yourself that enough, eventually you're going to start to believe it. And it worked. I just said no limits, and that was all I needed in my head to switch gears and go, no, we're still in this today, and pick up the pace. I'm going to concentrate on rep 2. Oh, I got hard at the end. Gotta catch my breath. All right, take 3.5. All right, so the last tip I'm gonna make you wait until I get back home to the studio because it is psycho busy out here. I need to stop for this one, and there's this really weird, irritating thing called work, and Dad has to get back for that, so we're gonna skedaddle back to the car, get my warm down done, and I'll see you back at home. All right, tip 3. This was one that was always gonna have to wait until after because I actually have to stop and be able to breathe to do it. Tip 3 is breathe. It seems so simple, but if you really think about it, when was the last time you actually tried to breathe properly? So this one sort of, really only works on the start line. You can't be doing efforts, or it can work in a session that you get a bit overwhelmed with. I know for me, the last couple of weeks and kind of the idea for this video was I've been having a bit of trouble with my leg. Some of the niggles that I've had earlier in the year have flared up a little bit, and it's close to a race, and that freaks me out. Again, I've said this twice, you will find out why. It's not a big deal, but it's something they need to figure out how to do properly. It's just breathe, just stop, take a deep breath and keep moving. But more specifically, if you're on the start line, and again, I did this in Sydney, and it's insane how much it actually helps. If you're just standing on the start line, you just close your eyes for a second, and just sit with that feeling of unsureness or nerves and just acknowledge that it's actually there. And then through your nose, take a really deep breath down into your stomach. And when you think you're fully topped up, hold it for a second. It's not a breath hold, but just hold it for a split second. And then a little bit more. And then fully sigh out, like, and it's insane how much that actually helps. And I didn't look at the science behind it. I know it exists, and I will find it. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen because I didn't make it up. I can't take credit for that one. I had someone else tell me about it. But it works. So try that. Again, it's one that only works on the start line, but it's insane how much it helps if you let those nerves, like, yeah, they're there. You can't change it. It's nervous. You got a big thing ahead of you. But just sit with them for just a second and then move through it. And it's crazy how well it works. So they're the 3 tips. And I've got one bonus tip. And this bonus tip comes from the great Kipchoge himself. It's smile. It's scientifically proven that if you smile, it feels easier. You're tricking your brain into thinking what you're doing isn't as hard as it is. And in reality, it is, and it's still gonna suck. But even it might just get you through that, again, it might just get you through that 2 or 3 steps that you're really struggling with. You can watch any race of Kipchoge and you can tell when the race starts to suck for him because he starts smiling. And if it works for him, yeah, I'm pretty sure it can work for the rest of us. So they're my tips on sort of pre-race nerves. I love looking into this stuff. It's something that really helps me, and I can't get enough of it. So if you like this one, maybe I can do some more, or I do a lot of journaling before races and just training diary and ways that I've found that. I'm going to put a link to a channel that I found that's been really helping me a lot. He's actually is a sports psych who makes videos about performance, but like the mindset behind performance, and breaks down and actually tells you why what he's saying works and how you can do it for yourself. And I think the last big thing before we start to walk down to the beach for, honestly, what is the fix for everything for me my whole life has been the ocean. There is nothing more calming than being out in the ocean. Even when it's 10 foot out, it's a very special place. At least it is for me. But probably the biggest thing, there's no shame in, I don't know, some people think there is probably still, there's no shame in if these things are really getting on top of you and it is starting to affect your performance running, or it's starting to take a bit of the enjoyment out of running, go see a sports psych or just a psych in general. I am next week. On Tuesday, I'm going to catch up with my psych because even though in the last couple of months I've had enormous improvements on my mindset and how I approach even the niggles and racing and everything like that, it's good to go and check in every now and again to make sure that your toolbox that you're using everything from is nice and topped up with as many different options as you can, because what works today might not work for you tomorrow, but it might work again the next day. So that's it for today. It's kind of a bit of a mixed bag. I'm still learning how to talk to the camera, and I had figured out everything I was going to say on the way here, and as soon as the camera turned on, I'd forgotten it. So I'll see what I've got. There may be some clips from tomorrow in different clothes that I need to fill in after I start to edit the video. Yeah, just a basic one today. The session was really good. It was the best I've run for a week, for a couple of weeks actually. Yeah, it was just a really good session. Next week's going to be all about tapering, so that'll be a fun video. The taper will stop on Friday, but because I have to have it uploaded and ready to go for Sunday afternoon. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Tell me things you might want to see in the future that I could make videos about, and I'll see you next week.